As a beginner sourdough baker, we were told to use a starter at its peak. That was like a golden rule, but have you ever thought about using an unfed starter? Well, we're about to find out. So here's what happened. On dough prep day, I took my starter out as soon as I woke up. I would normally thaw my starter overnight if I'm baking, but I forgot to do so the night before. And with the starter, I had the intention of feeding it at 8 a.m., but I forgot about it. It was already 1 p.m. when I remembered, and if I feed it at that time, I have to wait for 4 hours before it peaks, and I'd finish my dough prep at 8 or 9 p.m. It's not something that I wanted to do, that was too late for me. My choice was to either use it or just wait until the next day, but I was craving for bread that I just can't wait. I decided to use it since doing so is just like feeding it in principle. I mean, an unfed starter, you add flour and water in it, so it's just like feeding it. So with a lot of doubt and high curiosity, I took 100 grams of this starter and mixed it with the rest of the ingredients. Good thing I had a lot left over from the last bake to use for my regular sized bread. I proceed to mix everything like I normally would while trying to compute in my head the amount of time it'll take for this to rise. But I gave up, so I thought to just monitor the dough rise every hour. Then I took a nap, which lasted about 4 hours. I know that was a long nap, right? When I remembered that I had the dough sitting at room temp, I was panicking. I immediately checked on it and did a stretch and fold. I thought of letting it sit for longer, but I hesitated. I inspected the dough again, and my gut told me to shape it immediately. The dough felt so airy, but strong and extensible. I could have let it sit longer, but I fear that it'll come out overproofed based on how it feels when I did the stretch and fold. So I pre-shaped it and let it rest for 10 minutes. Then I shaped the dough and put it in my banneton. Normally, I let the dough rest between 20 to 30 minutes on bench, but with this one, I put it in the fridge immediately. So we had dinner, and after about 3 hours, I checked on the dough and it was almost overflowing from the banneton. I decided to bake it. That same night, yes, at 11 p.m., instead of making it wait the next day to bake. I preheat my oven for 30 minutes and score the dough. Put it in with steam for 20 minutes, baking it for supposedly 25 minutes more. But it was late and I had to tuck my daughter in for sleep, so it took a little bit longer than 25 minutes. And as you can see with the final bake, the top of the bread and the ear is a little bit darker than it should, but overall, I think that the bread still looks good. The bread has a good rise, it has a beautiful ear, and the crumb is surprisingly open and even. What a surprise. The taste, however, is lacking the tanginess which I love in my sourdough breads. If you're curious, will I do this again? I guess so, just to rule out if this is something that I can do and if this result is something that I can replicate. But I guess I will add more starter so it can be tangier, and maybe I'll add a little bit more salt. This bake really surprised me with its result, and this is what keeps me baking and experimenting. This also answered some newbie questions because in the beginning of my sourdough baking journey, I was curious if I can bake bread in a day and if I can use an unfed or hungry starter. So, how about you? Have you tried using an unfed starter in baking your sourdough bread? Or is this something that you wanted to try? If you ever do, please share it in the comment section below. I'd love to see the results. I know that it's comfortable to follow the rules, especially when you're looking for a predictable result. But, sometimes when we break some rules or we do things a little bit differently, we may discover new way of doing things. Did you like this video? If you did, let me know by giving it a thumbs up. And for more sourdough content, subscribe to our channel. See you on the next one.